We'll call the meeting to order in accordance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, Section 30-4-80E, South Carolina Code 1987 is amended. All the meeting in the meeting area have been notified of the date, time, location, and agenda of our meeting. We'll have our prayer by Mr. Govan, followed by the pledge from Mr. Jeffers.
Let's bow heads. Heavenly Father, it is again that we come to ask you for your mercy and your guidance. We ask you, God, that you will direct us in the decisions that we make, that this county and these students will be better citizens in the years to come because of the decisions we make. We ask you, you will allow us to do that which is right and just and fair to our children. We ask that you will give us traveling mercies as we return back to our respective homes. This we ask in your name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll take a motion to approve the agenda. Second. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Ferguson, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, so we're going to start with our first slide that we start every day with in every presentation with our mission for excellence in teaching and learning for each child every day, thinking about student success, teacher support, workforce development, and stewardship, and that's going to become more important in a little bit when we start talking about the budget. And if y'all will indulge me tonight, I'm going to teach like I was teaching high school. So I've got some activities for us to work through on that. But before we get there, I wanted to give a shout out to all of our magnet programs. So Darlington County has excellent magnet programs in each one of our high schools. Darlington High School's early college. You've got Hartsville's IB program, the Project Lead the Way biomedical program in Lamar, and then Mayo, which is always one of the top scoring schools in the state of South Carolina. And the video that I'm going to show y'all today is one of those schools. So what Audrey and Chris were able to do is work with each of those to have a profile video. And each of the videos talks about what makes the program unique. It talks to teachers who teach in the program. It talks to a current student who is working through the program at the school. And then it also talks to alumni who have gone on and been successful. So wanted to make sure that you knew those videos were out there. There's one for each school. I'm not going to make us watch all of them, even though they are all great. Darlington High School is the one I picked, and it's just because the student interview, I think, is exceptional. That student was able to graduate from Darlington High School, went on to Harvard and graduated from Harvard, and is currently working on her PhD at Rutgers. But there are really great alumni spotlights in each of those videos. So this is the Darlington High video.
My name is Michelle Ward, and I'm the coordinator of the Early College Honors Program.
And I'm the coordinator of the
Honors Program is important because it is providing our students an opportunity to take college classes while they're in high school. We're the only school in the district where students can earn an Associate of Arts degree or an Associate of Science degree, or both, really. The other great thing about our program is the flexibility and the options that our students have.
For me, with my pathway that I'm doing, I'm able to have a year taken off of college, and that's easier for me because I want to be a neurosurgeon. So I'm going to school for a long time.
I get a head start for college, and I'll know what I'm expecting when I get into college. I've learned that college lectures and high school lectures are much different. College lectures require more active listening. There's definitely more thinking put into it rather than high school.
Having that college standard in high school is, I think, a huge preparation for actually going to college whenever you finally get there.
We provide them with the guidance and support. They're not on their own. And not just,
they're not on their own.
Teachers who are in the classroom with
Not
them,
just,
but
you
their
know,
fellow
for
classmates
teachers who are
as
in the
well.
classroom with them, but their fellow classmates as well. They can rely on each other to navigate through like learning management systems or the class. They can ask the teacher, you know, for assistance of writing a professional email, for example. And, you know, we provide them feedback, so they're learning life lessons as well.
When you say together we rise, it just feels like you're all together, because you know majority of the people in early college, and they just also want to see the best for you. Like your friends, they really just want to see the best for you, and you want to see the best for them.
Knowing that I can handle like being in early college, taking like high school classes, college classes, having a job, playing sports, doing a lot of clubs activities, and being officers or in leadership roles in those clubs, like it's increased my confidence, because it made me realize, like, you know, I'm more capable of what I thought I wasn't able to do. So it's definitely helped with that.
So after I graduated from Darlington High School, I then went to Harvard College and Cambridge, Massachusetts, and now I am a history PhD student at Rutgers University. The staff here, learning from them, learning different perspectives, learning different ways to see the world and to see myself and to see one another, they were really helpful in preparing us to think deeply and to think broadly, and to embrace one another in the classroom, outside of the classroom, learn from each other. I think that we were able to rise together and see the end of the program together in that way.
It's saving time, it's saving money, because, you know, right now the school district is paying for all of their tuition, fees, textbooks, everything.
I mean, you can literally walk away with a degree in your hand and not pay a single dollar for it, other than the gas that you would have already driven to high school anyway.
I thought that it would be too much for me, but then once I started getting the groove of it, I was like, oh, I can do this. I think it's just an amazing program, and I really love it. And I'm glad that I did apply for it. Even if you have doubts about doing it, you should still apply, because you never know what opportunities it could give you.
And so there are highlight videos for each one of those magnet programs. Audrey will be sending those out today to all the parents in the district, so that as they are thinking through filling out those magnet applications, they can make informed choices about, you know, which program is the best fit for me and my aspirations and dreams, and which do I want to go to. And so again, we're not afraid of choice. I just think we are the best choice in many instances. And in Darlington County, we have an early college, we have IB, we have a biomedical program, and we have Mayo. Not everybody can say that, and so we are proving that there is excellence in teaching and learning. Just to kind of expand on that a little bit, one thing that we've also been talking about with the principals and the coordinators of these programs is, over the next few months, how do we come together and create a strategic plan for each one of those magnet programs, so that we are not only celebrating what we are doing well, but how do we continue to take that to the next level? Because the bridge to excellence is never complete. And so as good as these programs are, we know that there are ways to make them even better. And as we complete those programs, we're going to ask those principals and those coordinators to come to the board and present where they see the future in each of those programs. So that'll be coming in 6 months, say. We're going to start on that, but we are really excited to get this out to parents, so that as they are filling out those applications, they know what the feel of each of those programs currently are. Any questions about our magnet program?
Well, what's the cutoff date now? I know it was extended.
Audrey, can you help me?
It's Friday.
It's Friday. Tomorrow. No, today's only Wednesday. So on Friday.
Oh, wishful thinking.
It will be, it'll be Friday.
Dr. First.
Yes, sir.
And this might be jumping the gun, but one of the things that I've been thinking about for a long time, for years, if we talk about magnet schools, the availability for every student to have the ability to have the accessibility to attend. And that's just something I just put out. It's not meant, I know it's not something we can solve today, tomorrow, I get that. But I think it's something we need to start thinking about how we're gonna do it.
Right. And Mayo is currently our only magnet program that does door-to-door transportation across lines.
And
So you're right.
that's my point.
Yes, sir. That will be certainly something we can talk about.
I
as
know
we
it's
do
cost
planning.
effective, I know it's costly, and, you know, it's not something we can probably write off right now, but I do think it's something we need to think about.
Yes, sir. So those videos you will start seeing pop up in the real world, and I picked Darlington. I apologize to all my other magnet programs. Their videos are just as good, but I know you probably don't want to sit through 3 of them.
I heard you say that was the best one.
The next piece that I'd like to talk about is our facilities planning community meetings. I want to make you all aware of some of the meetings that we have already started setting up, and we will start communicating to folks. The first will be on March the 10th, and that will be at 6 p.m. at Lamar Spalding Elementary School. The Darlington community meeting will be on March the 17th at 6 p.m. at Black Creek Elementary School. And then Hartsville will be on the 19th at 6 p.m. at Hartsville High in the cafeteria. And the thinking behind those locations is that we want to make sure that we are showing off our new facility in Lamar, our new facility in Darlington. So as we look at what a combined Pate-Brockington could look like, we are showing the newest school and what the vision for that is. The thinking on the Hartsville High School is we don't have a new facility that is more of a 9-12. And many parents, many community members may not have been on the campus of Hartsville High School in a very long time. So we wanted to make sure that we showed it off, and all of its 13 buildings and 55 exterior doors, and make sure that we talk about the need for that new facility. What we'll be working on in the next few months too is to reach out to civic organizations, to reach out to sororities, fraternities, church groups, all the groups, and make sure that they are aware of these meetings, and also if they would have us to come, speak at the Rotary Club during lunch or speak at the Kiwanis Club during lunch. We are going to start reaching out to all of those folks. And what I have for y'all today, and you do not obviously have to do this today, but I wanted to make all of you aware of the list of organizations that we have. And if we have missed somebody, of an organization that we need to make sure that we reach out to in this listening session, that we add to that list. And if you have contact information for somebody, we want to be everywhere. People will have us to start talking about the facility study and to invite them to these community meetings.
One suggestion.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned some fraternities and sororities. I would suggest that you might want to think about what they call the Panhellenic Councils, which are the Divine Nine, which would be for African American organizations. Let's say you would get all 8 of them, 9 or whatever you have in this county, and have them come together. Maybe have one meeting. If you could pull them to come to one meeting, a location, rather than trying to go to, let's say, 5 different groups, 6 different groups, because some meet on Sunday, some meet on Saturday. You see what I'm saying? Right. Maybe have for lack of a better word, a town hall, if you will, Panhellenic meeting, and just get the word out and invite all of them and have it in one location. That might cut down on time.
I love that idea, Mr. Govan. If y'all could help organize that and us talk to the right people, we will certainly find a location and try to organize that. And what we're also working on, similar to that, is as we add the meetings for Rotary, Kiwanis, those meetings, to create a list of those appointments. And so if a board member would like to attend one of those lunches with me, I would certainly welcome that. I think hearing from y'all and seeing you in those meetings would be helpful. And so as those are confirmed, we'll make sure you have that schedule of events. But we've Audrey's already started reaching out to folks to say, we want to be on the agenda in February and March, and we'll continue that in April and May as well.
And what's going to be the agenda specifically at these? Is it, we're only going to talk about those attendance areas?
We're going to talk about all of it, but there will be a focus on the attendance area that we do. So we will talk about the plan for Hartsville, the recommendation for Lamar, and the recommendation for Darlington, but we will likely spend more time on Darlington when we are in Darlington. And we are working on the presentation of that currently to have it nice, beautiful, and presentable. It won't just be Matthew sitting making a PowerPoint. It's going to be well done, and the leave behind and flyers that go with that too, to say this is the recommendation from our architects, the engineers. These are some of the parameters that they considered and the recommendation that they made for the particular area.
And this is what you were talking about as far as like these sorts of groups being the audience?
These sorts of groups we're going to proactively reach out to and say, if you will have us, let us know. But we want everybody to know about these community meetings, and if they are interested, please come out. We're also going to reach out to city council, town councils, county councils to show up and say, these community meetings are happening, please come out. We'd love to present what the facility study recommends and to listen to any feedback that you have.
Can I make one suggestion? As we move forward into these, I went today to look at our 2024 facility study that's online, and it's kind of, it's difficult to navigate to.
Okay.
If we can get that on our, just a one click from the front page.
It'll be there tomorrow.
It would be good, because it's several clicks deep in. You kind of got to know where you're going.
Okay.
So.
How are we communicating this to the community to have them show up?
We are going to, you'll start seeing it everywhere. So you'll see it in our social media, you'll see it in the blast from Audrey, you'll see it in advertising that goes out, and then we'll also be reaching out to these organizations to say, let us come in February and talk to you, but if you want to know more, here are the community events. And so if you will also help us spread the word and invite your friends to be there, we would appreciate that too.
Can we send out through our, to the parents through this information from the schools?
Yes.
You need to add Lamar Civitan Club on here.
Okay.
I think maybe we should parcel too. I could set that up to where you're like an every year on whatever day, you know, she schedules that out. It's like a certain topic every month.
Okay.
I don't know when that is for government type. I think that's kind of what the category is that month.
Is Murphy Hartsville? Okay. And Mr. Jeffords, who would be Lamar Civitan?
Just let me know when you want to do it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Warren.
Okay, perfect.
We meet the first Monday in every month.
Okay.
So I just, you want to come March, we can do it.
Okay.
Wish we could come Monday night. It's too early.
Let's do March. I want to make sure we have a nice, pretty, clean presentation. And then also in answering that question, Ms. Carreri, is we've also started sharing these dates with our cabinets, and so our teachers' cabinets, our ministers' cabinets, student cabinets, we've also started sharing with them. There was a lot of interest from the ministers on these dates, and they said they'd help us spread the word as well. But I would love to have y'all at the various events to help talk and answer questions from folks, and we'll work on making sure that you have all of the information you need in order to do that. Also on the facilities update study too, wanted to make sure that y'all knew that we are underway at Bay Road, and so we, knock on wood, nothing goes awry. We are on schedule to open that wing in January of 2027 for those new classrooms and for the kindergarten students to all be in their home schools in Hartsville. We are also working on, there are hiccups every day, and I'm looking at Mr. Schuler because today they accidentally cut a power line and they lost power out there, but we were able to bring it back up with generators. So like, we're working and there was no disruption in school, but things are moving along and we are on track. We are also looking at making sure the engineers and the folks who are much smarter than me around land use and water and wetlands and all that are looking too at the sites and double checking everything for what the facility study recommends. We're pushing on that a little bit. Like one example in the Hartsville High that we are double checking our numbers on is how many cars actually show up on a football game, and have we actually considered what that looks like in a potential new Hartsville High, because Hartsville shows up to football games, and so they may be working on their normal numbers, but maybe Hartsville's not their normal number. So we're looking to make sure that we have real numbers and pushing the architects on that and make sure they are dotting all their I's and crossing all their T's, and that we're not surprised later on about something with some land. The other piece on that is, we are working on many different projects across the district, and we'll do an update in a work session on all of that. But like, we've got Mayo. I was able to see today their new media center. That project is almost finished. There's a beautification project at Darlington High School where they have cut down some trees out front and they have repaved the front, and they're doing some paint and pressure washing to do some beautification there. Also looking at Darlington High School on the storefront, the bird's nest, so when you walk in, there's a catch area until you don't have access, and then looking at some roofs in some places too, at various schools. I think we have 3 schools that need roofs at different levels. Some need much more extensive roof work than others, but Mr. Schuler was able to get that roof assessment done, and so we have a timeline for what roofs need to be replaced in every building that we own, and so that we can start planning and timelining that out. We're also working with a group to look at a energy efficiency study for each site to make sure that we are also being energy efficient and that there's no cost savings, or what the cost savings would be if we did some upgrades, and having that for each of our sites too. So as we consider the broader facilities study in new buildings, how are we also looking at safety and maintenance in our other existing buildings? Any questions about any of that? I know that was talking a lot.
Do we have I know we've been talking about a maintenance plan with facilities with our 8% monies that we use for that. Do we have a schedule where we are on those projects and where we are in that timeline, those completions?
So we are currently finishing up that plan. The roofs, HVACs is in our Brightly system. The plan is to have that totally complete by the end of this school year, so we can give you like solid information.
Okay.
And Mr. Schuler's been great, because I gave y'all as a goal for me that we would have a plan per site by the end of the year, and that's where that roof assessment, looking with the utility piece and having a plan for each school, we don't have it yet, but we are on track to have it for my evaluation, because I told him, I said, Mr. Schuler, that's me on the line, so we got to have something. And he has been working very diligently to make sure we get it. All right. Shifting to budget. I asked Renee the other day, I like pictures, and so Renee gave me what this current year's budget was in our general fund, put that in a pie chart, and these numbers are large, and the percentages, if you don't see it like this, you may not know. So I've also been sharing this, particularly with our teacher cabinet and support staff cabinet, but last year our general fund total budget was $132 million. Over 80% of that is in salary and benefits. And so when you see $132 million, folks think, that's a lot of money, you got a lot of money to spend, and we do, but the vast, vast majority of that is spent in people and their benefits, and that's a good thing, but it also doesn't mean we have $132 million to spend on all the things we want. We have some percentage of that. Our purchase services, we spend about $9.5 million a year. Our supplies, almost $7 million. Our equipment, $113 million. That number looks low because a lot of that comes from our bond funds, and so we spend about $3 million a year in equipment refresh from bond funds. That's not in our general fund. And then dues, fees, insurance, pupil activities, 1.7, and athletics, a little over $350,000. So to put in context, we have a large budget. The vast majority of that is spent in salary and fringes, and it's also important for, I think, our employees to know how much those benefits cost and how much value they bring to the table, because you don't just get $50,000, that's our starting teacher salary. There's all the benefits that go with that cost much more than that $50,000, and I think it's important that we articulate that to our staff and that they see that there's a benefit beyond just the salary. And anybody who has state insurance, they may not love it, but it's a lot better to have it than not have it and have to go to the hospital. So,
Do you know what the average cost for an certified FTE is?
Renee, it is probably $85,000 would be our starting. What is our average that we put in when we are budgeting for a new position for a teacher?
We usually budget masters for 12 years, so I have to look it up. I just think between 60 and 70.
Plus benefits,
Plus
so
benefit, yeah.
over 100.
I'll look it up and see what the exact number we usually
I'm just curious, I mean, because, you say you still have a starting salary of $50,000, but with benefits, it's worth $75,000. I mean, you don't.
Because benefits are usually 38%, and so that's whatever we budget, the salary, you add 38% to that, and that's what the budget is. And so my rough number is around $100,000 when I'm just saying an average position.
Why doesn't that add up to that then? Why would you benefits not be 30 if you said they're, I mean, saying like of our total spend?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
because it's of the total budget. It's not of.
that's,
Okay,
yeah,
you're
that's
right. It's not
26%
relative
of the total budget.
to
That's not
salaries.
really gross salaries.
You're right,
Yeah.
And that's not all of our salaries. Some salaries come from Title I and
Right.
IDEA.
But we still pay
That's just general
benefits.
fund.
But we still pay the benefits of those, right?
Some portion, usually. So tonight, what I want us to think about as we enter in the next budget cycle is, what are the board's priorities in thinking about next year's budget? And I want us to think, I did this activity with teachers and it was a lot of fun, but I said to them, let's think in systems, not schools, because when you get folks together, they'll say, I want a new playground at Southside, not that we need this program for all of our kindergarten kids. So if we could think in systems, if we focus on impact and know that every dollar has a trade-off, because we would love to give everybody a raise and add positions and add supplies and add that, whatever that is, but you can't do all those things. There are trade-offs, just like we do in our home budget. And as we think about that, how does what we are prioritizing, what we want to spend money on, how does that improve outcomes for kids? And when we are thinking about programs, we are thinking about dollars, what changes will result in us spending money on this and not that? And who benefits and what's the problem that it solves? And so as we start this project, as we've asked teachers, as we've asked principals to think about coming to their first budget meetings, these are the same questions that I've asked them. How does it improve student academic outcomes? What are the trade-offs? Who benefits? And how do you what problem is that thing you're asking for solved? That makes sense? So, what I'm gonna leave that up. This is the high school teacher in me. I'm gonna ask y'all to stand up in a minute and work in groups, and then we're gonna report out. But before we do that, I'm gonna give you some think time. I don't know, I told Audrey today, I was like, I don't know how to do this without doing it this way. And y'all are probably not going to enjoy it, but I think you
It's called a
will.
work session for a reason.
So, I'm gonna give you just a couple of minutes to work by yourself and think. If you were spending on things, if you were thinking about what your priorities would be, what are some things you'd want to see us spend more money on, add, under student success? What are some things that fall under student success that you'd want to see added? What are some projects, programs that would fall under teacher, staff support? What are some projects that would fall under workforce development, under stewardship? And then you're like, it doesn't fit under any of those things, but I just think we should do it. I gave you an other category. And so I'm going to be quiet for 3 minutes.
I do not like pop quizzes.
And then I'm going to let you work again. That's your favorite color? We've got 1 more minute, and we're going to switch. All right, so I know some of you are still working, but we've got our juices flowing. So what we are going to do now is you are going to work in groups. And since we're not even tonight, do y'all feel okay with a group of 4 and a group of 3? Does that work? So what you're going to do is if my first group of 4 can go to workforce development, you're going to spend the first 3 minutes as a group talking about what all of you would like to see in workforce development and what y'all think is a good idea. We're going to add it to the poster. And then we're going to rotate, and so then you'll go to stewardship, and you'll go to other, you'll go to student success, teacher staff support. Does that make sense? And then that way as you go around, you'll get to see what the other group put on the posters too. And we'll talk about it. So, Ms. Valencia,
Yes.
Leanne, and Wanda, if y'all could start at student success, and we'll work our way around. That way you're not. Live stream. We're on live stream.
What are you talking about?
Oh, I need to get my cut. My hairdresser's been telling me. I did, but I've already had it cut a second time since I got it cut. It's kind of like this. There you go.
We're just supposed to put what it is up here,
All right.
whether we support it or not.
But y'all have the student success.
Is that right?
I have additional magnet. For anybody that wants to go and not just financial.
Yes, I think we get kids in sooner. Are we writing yet, or are we?
We have to write in our own color, or we?
We can choose.
So we're, whether we think it's a good idea or not that someone puts forth, we're still putting it on there. Okay, go ahead.
Offering, what'd you say?
And I think different all 4K class, additional 4K classes, for basically a 4K for all, if we can do it.
And what do y'all think we should add?
Mentoring programs, expand on the mentoring program.
I've heard HVAC, I've heard, the lineman school.
I know, I thought, size 27. Trying to put on weight, so I got my second grade. All right. Moving on. Are we moving? We moving.
You can, you've got another minute
Before
I'm moving, but you can move. If y'all are done, you can move.
The teacher support, I said, I'd like to see an A in all our K-3 classes. A classroom A in all our K-3 classes. I know we have them in kindergarten. But I'd like to see an A. K-3 classes.
All right, y'all have,
Our support with accountability.
30 seconds, and then you'll shift over.
Okay, explain that.
Yeah, explain it.
Okay. Like,
How to keep the teacher, how to hold teachers.
okay. I think the principal from Darlington High, she did the presentation. She kept saying, I don't want to do that here again. I want to do that. And she constantly up here, something you're not doing. So when we be held accountable, you don't have to keep coming back.
But this is I'm saving money here.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how we would do that system-wide. Remember he said, think system-wide. So how would we?
Or is it a?
So, I mean, is it a support
Well,
for principals?
so-
What is, I mean, is
So
it?
maybe answer that, so here's your question. So,
And like how
before
the
those report cards,
financial response programs.
did we have any idea that she was going, that Darlington High School was
She was
going
here
to
last year. That's the second year in a row she hasn't come out.
So like, it shouldn't come out this was right?
No,
At the
because
time
they,
the report cards
well,
come out,
because,
so.
but see, because for the high school, being on the semester system, they knew what their pass rates were from AP US history and Bible, like those, they knew what those numbers
But
were.
there's all kinds of things that go into it.
Right, but some of it is those EOCs. So see, they knew what half the school's EOCs
Program
were
that may not work.
at
And that's
Christmas.
just a layman's term.
So, I mean, do the math. I mean, what am I gonna do? I mean, this is what's gonna happen in the second semester, because see, all these English one kids, yes.
My question was support, okay, supporting the, maybe not teachers, but principals, and like, in one of our meetings, when the Darlington principal said, this is my second year, I've been up here. Now, to me, if you feel like me once, you shouldn't be back up here again. Something should have happened, that.
Are there instructional supports that we put in place when we have schools at risk? Is that the question?
Like, is there a regular, so it shouldn't just come to like report cards come out and you realize like, whoops, I dropped. Like how do
Oops, I didn't
they,
make it.
So where's accountability for?
so how does that happen throughout the year?
I think it's accountability for outcomes and tiered support and coaching.
So coaching support for schools maybe at mid-year who.
Like almost like a mentoring, like a mentoring program for the administrators.
And
Is
really,
that
like,
kind
that's
of-
one of the things that, my org chart, that is first reading, that chief admin officer, that chief school officer, that will be what that person is envisioned to do, to be that coach, that accountability partner to principal.
What you said accountability, what?
Accountability for outcomes and so we could add in that too, like coaching for administrators.
Yeah.
Or administrators / leadership coaching. Because it's not just principal.
Oh.
All that's kind of there. We'll make sure we aren't spending money on programs that don't work or don't, I mean, we're getting banged for buck.
All right, y'all, if y'all want to shift, you can. Y'all would go over to the other category on that one. It doesn't, and other is if it doesn't fall in one of these buckets, what do you dream about?
I think if we went here first.
That's fine
Then
too.
we might be able to find what didn't get in these buckets.
That'll work too.
Okay.
That's a good suggestion.
I was gonna say that. Because really just like, barely meets the level and what we're talking about here, like we want them to be even better. Yeah, that's what I had.
That's what I had on mine.
Yeah, mine, I'd like to see, it's also in that, I'd like to see. I had improvement of overall reading level for each grade level for large language models.
I would add expand
Kids have got
talented opportunities.
You gotta have the inputs to have the large language models, so.
So what's that?
So how's, behind the programming, it's not just mirroring. But it's AI working with large language models, which is what you put in, it's input out.
People know everything we do.
I mean, maybe it's AI development.
That's why I asked.
Plan to use AI or to learn about
That's
AI?
why I asked how we were communicating these meetings.
Expanded. I don't know what
Give this talent more to them to participate in signing up for these programs.
that then is used. If you know, what do you all use AI?
I don't know. I just don't know. You've got to know what is the use for AI in this certain part of the
Parents don't know the
So you
student.
gotta have an understanding of it. You gotta understand its limitations, and it's not better than what they go, LLM is. I just do the overall reading of the range for like. Just put AI in that question mark, how, maybe just a question mark. And how the AI and its effect on the workforce, maybe that's.
Put, get the word out.
Communication.
Communication.
Opportunities.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that goes on other.
Well, we can do that over here. We can do that over here.
I will put parent involved. I'll skip over here.
Okay.
Parent involved.
And then I have grade expansion and internship.
All right, you got 10 more seconds and you're gonna rotate.
That should be an E.
All right, come on, Scribe.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. I hate to lie on the short.
I can do the answer, but
It's up for you.
She got put hand right there.
Additional 4K classes, expand gifted and talent opportunities.
We need to keep making sure that we take a focus on our fund balance, with the ultimate goal of work is maybe that funding itself in our school, as we did, we funded Black Creek without after school. So I just, I said, continue to support our fund balance with hopes of one day again being able to fully fund elementary school.
So that means,
Good
good budget, Lawrence.
Yeah, like how
Good schools and good budget.
in this city,
But I mean, that's
more
what I see.
what's the.
Get a grade on it.
I mean, I think
He said.
Accountability for outcomes to week
Classroom aid.
or accountability for outcomes, administrative coaching, mentoring program,
things like that.
especially for lower scorecards. What's a scorecard?
Report cards.
Oh, report cards for the school.
Good
So
stewardship.
kind of like helping
People are
those
struggling.
Yeah, I mean, I
principals,
think
like,
that,
that
but what
present
is
that.
so,
Meetings, meetings involved children.
Make a teaching support for incoming teachers or new teachers.
Teacher staff support.
Right, new staff on board.
You know, like they used to pay
And I
a
think that's
new teacher with
administrative.
the old teachers. So you get
They do that still for teachers, but we don't do it for most school principals. But we could do it better.
yeah.
Input from teachers on for all the decisions we make, not just making a decision and give it to them. They have a little input.
I think you've already got it covered, but my other thing would be communication about what's going on in administration, and I like that you're doing a recap of the board meetings. I think you're doing a great job communicating this. I don't know what I would say. I think that's a biggie. They want to know, they need.
We can say continue, but I think people do like to know what happens.
They do.
So communicate directives, be sure to communicate directives.
And the why. Sometimes people want to know why. That's very big right now with learning. Nobody's happy with learning.
I believe that.
But I'm trying to communicate the why.
I did all that.
All right, 10 more seconds and you're gonna rotate. And we should be almost.
We rotate it out.
Peace out.
You gotta rotate it out.
All right, so if you are done, don't sit down yet. You are going to pick one, and we are going to report out on what's on the sheet. So we have more people than we do sheets, but pick the one that spoke the most to you that you feel like you want to talk about. And you can either take it off the wall and take it to your seat and sit back down and we can talk about it. Or you can stand by, whichever one works better for y'all.
I was writing right in here.
Wait, what? I was.
Everybody pick one and tell us what's on the sheet.
I know.
on the sheet, just kind of talk about it out loud so that everybody knows what the conversation is.
Smallest one. I don't know. He just got it.
I got a short one.
I hear you. I'm doing good.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We probably know they know. She had contact them more. Nobody, she's like, I'm not gonna get in.
It's on, I think, the chamber website. So, Ms. Hassler, you have student success, so if you could share with us what was written there.
Let me bring it up here, or which one we do?
So I understand where you are.
Okay. All right, looks like in our student success, at least from our group, when we started out, we talked about we'd like to see 4K expanded for all. From a systems-wide perspective, I think it would address all students, and when we start them early, and we begin that, instruction, I just think 4K for all, if we could afford it, I think that would be a great one. We talked about expanding our mentoring programs, expanding additional magnet offerings if we can. Looks like here that the next group was interested in further expanding our gifted and talented program. I know we just did a big expansion of it. Well, actually, we kind of jump-started and restarted it, so to speak, in this past year. And I'm going to talk the parent involvement piece from that group. The group that put parent involvement, y'all want to speak to that? Because I'm not quite sure.
Well, one of y'all wrote that, didn't you?
Suggested that. Yeah. We think that parents are more involved in the activities of their children, and they know exactly what their children's scorecard is, grade card is. And I think if the parents get more involved in the school, and when the child goes home, they can continually take what they've learned in school and take that home and continue helping them read with their math and other problems. I think that will help and have a relationship with that teacher, so they can know exactly what's going on with their child. So I think parent involvement is very important to the success of a child.
Okay. And then the last thing they had on here was after-school tutoring, if we could, increase our after-school tutoring programs.
It's interesting, like, a lot better kind of fires and
Mr. Gobin.
Okay, classroom aids in all K through third grades, that's to provide teacher aids, classroom aids to all the schools.
Mr. Fang, you start on my little, okay, you can see.
To
So we can
provide
see it.
teacher aids to all the schools that have K through third grades. And support, accountability for outcomes, be able to show and provide to the teachers what those outcomes are, how they came about getting them. Administrators, leadership, coaching, and mentoring programs. I think Matthew talked one time about switching out persons who are interested in principalships, but this would give you an opportunity to have a, so to speak, seasoned person working with a person that's just becoming an administrator to help them understand all of the kinks
But that's not really what that was. That was something that I had suggested, mentoring, providing a support for like maybe a teacher or even principal, like when the report cards came out or when they talked about the schools not meeting. If there's a repeat not meeting, then something needs to happen. Because in my mind, no school should continually not meet. So if the individuals there, the administrators, the principals, or whomever, need someone to work with them where they can look at before you get to that point, and how can we bring it up to par? Okay. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So you're saying a school that's below average.
Exactly.
That's not meeting their needs on a consistent basis.
Right.
So they need some coaching and mentoring program to help bring that school
right
from
even
below
just average. I mean, in a perfect world where
Yeah.
money's no object and you got all the resources and all the everything you can do, I mean, like average isn't okay either, right?
Yeah.
So
We talk about accountability now. If I'm failing this year, I shouldn't be failing next year. Something should be in place where I'm on target.
I think that's from communicating directives from the administrator, explaining why. And that's pretty much saying that you want, if you want to tell administrators that they, for lack of a better word, messed up, then you need to explain to them where they messed up and how they messed up and how they can improve.
They can correct it, yeah.
Moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Next would be workforce development.
that's me. So the book group had expanded CIT and some specific offerings. We had talked about that too, expanding, you know, increasing the amount of students that we can actually house and serve at DCIT. Wanda can explain this one because she actually understands it.
I just think we need to address somehow, I mean, AI is our future, and what programs do we need to develop at DCIT that help train our students to enter, is that coding, what is this that we need to be teaching that is a workforce development that is going to be a central part of the workforce to the future?
Yeah. And then, you know, we've talked in the past about being able to find businesses that can afford the internship program. Like they want to take on an intern and teach them and give them that experience, but they can't afford it in their budget. Being able to do that even when businesses can't afford it, to get those kids paid. If we had perfect world and all the money.
Stewardship.
All right, the first one was to evaluate programs for outcomes. As y'all well know, we get programs, we get them started, they don't succeed, but they never go away. So we need to evaluate these programs, make sure what we're doing is effective and have the outcome we want for our students. I think the same thing down here at the bottom, it says evaluate cost effectiveness on programs, which is basically the same thing as the first one. Continue to be good stewards. I mean, it's our job as board members and everyone in this room to make sure we spend our dollars in the right way. I mean, it's easy to go out and spend money frivolously. So, but we need to look at every dollar we spend and make sure it is doing what it's supposed to do. Fund another elementary school. Guess that would probably be under our bond referendum.
I think, you know, we were able to
You talk about
just like we funded Black Creek without having to do any type of bond referendum. I mean, I'm looking way down the road.
Okay.
One day in our piggy bank, like we saved, and we were eventually able to we paid cash for Black Creek. I mean, I'd love us to be able to be in that financial position.
So in other words, we need to increase our fund balance some every year so we'll have money to do this in the future. Okay. Hard decisions, appropriate size classrooms and programs. I guess we're talking about making sure we have the number of students in our classrooms that we need. Not too many, but not 3 or 4 or 5 either. The most bang for our buck from our teachers. Okay. And that was it.
Who had other?
I picked the easy one.
Sort of. Sorry, really one. Communication opportunities, evaluating communication opportunities. Is everyone aware of what we're doing? And, you know, I, with all due respect to Audrey, who does a wonderful job, do we know if we're reaching people? You always hear, well, I had no idea that Friday was the deadline for signing up for the magnet programs. And we need to make sure our communications are getting where they belong.
Well, y'all, thank you for indulging me and being good class participants. Because I think this gives us some really good information as we enter budget talks and start working through requests from principals and bringing that for a projection for next year for your consideration and feedback. But was there something in this process that you were not able to bring up that you think we should know or think about as we start?
Doug, we also understand this is a perfect world.
It's a perfect world. You got to make the numbers balance.
You asked us for our wish,
Yep.
what we'd like to see.
And thank God for Renee, who always keeps us conservative in our estimates, and so that we are not ever running in the red. That is not something that every school district can say. So that's a blessing to be in Darlington County and a testament to this board. So thank you all for being such good stewards of our taxpayer funds. With that, I am now going to transition. That is my section. Mr. Schuler has the next presentation around the sports code of conduct, and we've had several instances that have required us to go back and look and make sure that we are clearly communicating on theme tonight what the expectations for our games are, and Mr. Schuler is going to take that presentation. I'm going to bring it up here.
Good evening, everyone. Are you guys okay with me doing it back here? I'm going to use my teacher voice, and you guys made it pretty.
You've got a soft teacher voice.
I'm about to elevate it right now. I do want to say up front that you guys made it very hard to come behind with your presentations. I don't know if we got our hiring fair up. We're going to need some teachers in the classroom. Y'all did an excellent job with your presentations. Just let me go ahead and share. I do want to share, I set the computer up front. Our secondary principals were set to kind of present on Monday, and obviously we had the inclement weather, and they all had different arrangements, so I asked them just not to inconvenience them if they could just kind of join for any questions that you have after the presentation. I volunteered because they were supposed to kind of do the presentation, and I volunteered because I've been kind of with them every step of the way. They requested this, and we've had some different instances that they came forth before the end of the calendar year about like, hey, we want to collaborate, we want to be more systematic in how we operate from a district perspective. Can the district support us in that venture? So I kind of met with them multiple times, kind of talked to Dr. Ferguson, and his thought process was like, we wanted to make sure that you were aware before we began kind of from a district standpoint, communicating this piece out to everyone. So it's the school sports fan code of conduct, and obviously it's kind of guidelines for behavior. So if you go to the next slide, the importance of positive behavior, and obviously we want to create a supportive atmosphere for all. So I want you to kind of think in terms of, we want to take it back to, like, in many of our areas, this is the event that all of the community comes to. So we want it to be a family-friendly atmosphere that everyone can enjoy, right? And so we want to get back to that. So we want to make certain that we kind of message that to everyone. So that's the piece for that. And obviously we kind of went through and talked about different guidelines. I gave you a handout. So that's a list form for fans to kind of look at. But just in a nutshell, just kind of talking about those guidelines. Obviously, respect for athletes. And we're asking that our athletes show respect, the fans show respect, recognizing their hard work and dedication. Also, the positive interaction fosters a supportive environment that benefits everyone that's involved in the sport and event, right? Obviously, there's been conversations about banter, right? I mean, we've been in friendly, right? That's the definition of banter. Friendly, teasing gestures. Obviously, it's 2026. And that's different, but we do want to kind of encourage that for everyone. And that may look different. I think one of the principals kind of brought up, hey, I don't know, Mr. Schuler, if West Florence comes in and we're gonna be still kind of clapping for them now. And we're not saying that, but obviously we want to encourage that. And we definitely don't want any negative type behavior at the games. And we got to model certain pieces, right? I always share from the DMS perspective when I was principal that Mr. Hickman was the principal at the time. The only time I wanted them to lose was when they were playing DMS. Otherwise, I'm cheering for them and I want them to be successful. So we kind of had conversations in reference to that. The other piece is support for good sportsmanship. We want to encourage good sportsmanship that promote fair play and camaraderie. And we want, again, fans to cheer for both teams and maybe a little louder for our team, right? But this highlights mutual respect for the competition itself. And the other piece is encouraging. The encouragement of participants is vital, that fans encourage all participants, including players, coaches, and officials. That's another piece. Obviously, we're all human, so officials are human. We got to be mindful of how we kind of address those type issues as well. So this is the big piece that we wanted to make sure you all were aware of, and we've been kind of operating and doing this, but obviously the principals asked if we could, begin from the district kind of sharing that with everyone, right? Here are the consequences. And first is a verbal warning.
I have a question before you get to the consequences.
Yes, ma'am.
For some clarity.
Mm-hmm.
When you say taunts and, people's perception differs.
Absolutely.
Example, Shedeur Sanders. When he does this, it's a brag, showing his watch, click. A lot of them, when they get to the infield, they'll do a dance. Because I made it, I'm good, Is that considered a taunt? Because I look at it as all in fun and good gesture and humor. I made this point, and naturally I'm going to be glad, and I would be the kind that if I were playing ball and I did a three-pointer, I'm going to get on the sideline and I'm going to do a dance.
Valencia, I won't see you down there.
I'm going to do a dance. I'm not taunting you. I'm just confident in what I did, and I'm proud of me, and I'm saying, you go, girl.
Right. So I will share that we're not going to hold our fans over a microscope. Obviously, big picture wise, like we are encouraging this type of behavior, but obviously we're not gonna be holding a microscope and for instance, like, hey, if you're taunting out there, then I mean, again, I don't think that's the gist of what we're trying to accomplish. But obviously we need to kind of encourage those positive pieces. Now I will show you, I come from the coaching background. Part of it is I never thought that I'd be standing here. When I was young, it was a long time ago, but I never ever shared I wanted to be a principal. Like I wanted to be a football coach. That's why I came into education. But I realized how those things connect as far as like coaching and how we communicate things. I always tell people indirect is always better than direct because many people struggle with that direct piece. And the other piece I will share is that when I coached, I used to tell my players, hey, when you hit the end zone, act like you've been there before, right? And at the end of the day, give the official the football and say, hey, I'll see you in a little while. I'll be back, right? Versus all the extra dancing, like, hey, man, but that's just my personal philosophy, right? But again, I get it. It's 2026, and folks do those type of things. But from the principal's perspective, and I think I can speak freely for them, I don't think that they're going to hold a microscope. And I think we're looking at some of the extreme pieces that we've witnessed, and we want to just kind of make sure we encourage positive behavior. All right. And so the first is a verbal warning, right? Yeah, the next piece is, you know, if it becomes extreme, then obviously there's a removal from the event. And then following that piece, there would be like a thorough investigation, obviously camera footage, you know, witnesses, things of that nature. And after that thorough investigation, if administration deemed necessary, then there potentially could be a 1-year ban from sporting.
That would be all events, right?
All events.
Not just that one particular sport.
Now, and we had conversations about that because, again, part of that could be somewhat complicated. And I guess we need to share that piece too. If, for instance, we at a high school event, we had a parent that get banned. Do we want to say to that same parent they can't go to Black Creek Elementary for their fall festival? I think, you know, we're talking about sporting events and we leave that up to that particular principal. But again,
So it's not a ban from Darlington County campuses, it's just a ban from sporting events?
For sporting events, yes.
So is it a ban from all sporting events from all schools in the district?
Yes.
Or is it a ban from just, let's say, Darlington High School? Or is it a ban, if I've got 2 kids and one goes to Mayo and one is at Hartsville High, but the one at Mayo plays
In the mark.
on Darlington High band, for an example.
Right.
Now, does that say I cannot come to the football game at Darlington High because my kid, because I was banned from Hartsville High?
It says that your behavior was so extreme that you are being prevented from going to any sporting event for a period of time because you failed to uphold the code of conduct that was set.
Give me an example of that extreme.
So for instance, if we had a situation, and I'm speaking in
Theoretically,
terms,
but not.
Theoretically, but not, yes. If we had a disruption where we had to clear the gym.
Oh, okay.
Right? And the officials make that call, right? Then those individuals, I would consider that a disruption to the point where, like, it affected everyone in the stadium, right? So I think we're speaking in those type of terms, but again, part of it, we want you all equipped to like know that how we're thinking, because again, after, you know, it's approved, because typically what happens, if we have to do it, it always comes up here before they move forward with sending that letter. And obviously, if we have a parent that's upset, I always tell parents that they have a right, and I have a supervisor, which is Dr. Ferguson. I would never tell anyone that you don't have the right to kind of have a conversation with him, but typically I operate, I'm trying to make sure, like, hey, we're on the same wavelength, but they will sometimes go beyond me, go to him, and then their right is to go to you all.
Are we looking to incorporate this into a rule under a policy, or how are we looking to formalize this?
Right now, it is just a process and a procedure for how we are conducting. I think long-term, we work out some of the issues that it would need to be formalized into an official policy.
So the question for me is, one, when are you talking about implementing this? And two, how do you plan to message it before you implement it?
Well, I will share with you that schools have been, there have been requests for like permanent bans from, I've seen letters that have been presented to me from years. So this has been an ongoing like procedure. I don't know how well documented, meaning written, how well it's been given out. The communication piece has not totally been there, and we want to be fair because we're talking about communication to everyone. So these type of things have been in place.
But my thing is, what I'm saying is, we all know that the first thing people are going to say is, well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was going to be the consequences if I cussed out the official.
And well, and to your point, like one of the things that has been requested, and Dr. Ferguson has agreed, that we plan on kind of doing sound bites. So this is something like you go to these games and they regularly kind of share, here's our position. It's extremely important that we conduct ourselves in this type of manner, and we want Dr. Ferguson voice to be that at the basketball game, at the football game.
I'm not opposed to it.
Right.
I just want to be sure that we have, that they don't come back and say, well, because, you know, a communication piece that somebody talked about with this stuff here, it's the same thing.
Right.
You're going to have to, because otherwise, you know, the first person they're going to call is not going to be Dr. Ferguson. It's going to be the people sitting in this room.
Yeah, that's why
we want to tell you about it.
That's why we're here tonight. to make certain that you guys are totally aware and how we want to kind of from the district perspective to assist and support our secondary principals in going forward with
this. I've seen some schools when I've gone to other areas, they have things posted out there before you even, do y'all have it posted?
Well, we haven't, that's why we're here, because we want to be able to, from a district standpoint, kind of move forward and begin creating those posters and making sure, but Dr. Ferguson thought it was extremely important that you all heard it before from the district standpoint. We support them and begin communicating.
You can have this posted in each stadium or...
And like I said, while they're in the game, it should be like every break, you know. And they do that at the football games, the announcer does it, but I think, again, part of it is sound bites. Now you can play it and you hear Dr. Ferguson's voice, right? I mean, again, you hear our leaders sharing like this is the expectation. Please be reminded. Right, everyone knows that voice. Everyone knows that voice. So we were trying to get Dr. Ferguson's voice up next. Like everyone knows that voice.
Let me ask you one more question. I want to go back. You said suspension from all future, that is school-related activities. That ain't got to be a football or basketball game to be an activity.
All right, so I mean, I can make that adjustment.
Okay, I just said.
Well, and that's why
it
we
may
wanted
depend too on how severe, because you know, if you are If it's borderline, it may be you're just asked to go home today. If it's a clearing of a whole gym, it may be you don't get to go to sporting events. If you attack a player on another team, it may be you are excluded from all school activities. And so I think the severity of the offense also has to be considered in the length of the punishment.
And I can share with every one of those individuals beforehand, they are going to kind of call and make sure they run it by my office to make sure like, hey, we're all on the same page in reference to severity. Because we want to make sure that at the end of the day that we cover our bases, because obviously we don't come to work every day wanting folks to complain to you all, right? But obviously I wanted to share like, hey, what those steps look like.
Yeah, okay. My question is going to be around logistically identifying these people. Okay, we've said to them, you can't come to any of their activities. Who's standing at the door to see them walk in and know?
So that's a good question, and we started back COVID, because we had the same thing as far as some of our students that attend alternative. So there is and I've seen the principals printed out for the folks that's at their gate that have pictures, things of that nature, if available, right? I mean, we're hoping that we communicate and we don't have this to a massive extent where but they have already kind of talked about how we're going to communicate it throughout the schools.
People who tend to be the rowdy rule breakers are going to be the ones who try to work around it.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to be looking for a way.
Is there an appeals process?
It would likely work like most of these decisions where Mr. Schuler would make the recommendation, they could appeal it to the superintendent, and then I think ultimately they do have an appeal to the board.
I mean, you gotta give them due process.
Hopefully that never happened.
Yes, that's what we're
You gotta
hoping.
give them due process.
Yeah.
We're not putting school staff in harm's way when you got a real disruptive person. Isn't it best to send security up there?
Well, part of it is that's why we have on there school staff and security. In the midst of it, that we try our best to keep law enforcement out, but I guess it goes back to the very first slide. Well, because again, part of it is that means charges that that could put you. So obviously, like from the education side, that's not what we're encouraging. But if it becomes necessary, then we really can't control that piece, right?
Let's go to plan B.
Correct, correct, and obviously we don't want that, but I think it's important that, hey, we establish those roles, we are consistently fair, that we communicate to the person like you can, and the biggest piece is that if we communicate that and they just kind of totally ignore us, we want to be proactive so we don't get to a situation where the officials deem, hey, we need to clear this gym in order to finish this game. And we've experienced that. So. All right. And obviously, the last slide is just pretty much.
You can't talk about what happened last night, right? You can't talk about that just yet.
No, we don't totally have the. I can share with you that it was more player-based than fan-based. How about that?
Okay.
Still being investigated.
Still being investigated. But they are on the screen for any specific questions. I hope I did a good job, guys. I'll work on your lunch for me.
Is there anything our principals want to add?
Is there anything y'all would like to add?
I might not have it turned up. Is there anything you guys want to add?
No, they're good. They're good. All right, Mr. Schuler, thank you. Our next
conversation is going to be around Hall of Fame, and then we'll wrap up with calendars. And so, Miss Childers, I was about to say Miss Schuler. Miss Childers, if you would take us to Hall of Fame.
Actually, could we do calendars first?
Sure.
No. Oh, yeah, touch this one. Okay. All right. We're in the midst of choosing school calendars for 2 years out. The board several years ago asked us to put forth calendars 2 years in advance. So we've begun doing that, but in the process, we ended up tweaking this year's calendar and next year's calendar. All of these are going to be brought to you next board meeting for an actual vote, but I wanted to touch base really quick on this so that you have it. The 25-26 current school year calendar. In the fall, what we did is we turned one of our professional development days into a parent-teacher conference day and a half-day professional development day, kind of like we used to do many years ago. And so we're going to do the same thing in the fall, March 12th and 13th. March 12th will be a full day of school. March 12th in the evening after school, we'll have parent-teacher conferences. And then March 13th will be a half day, so that nobody's, we're keeping within the hours, but that'll be a half day for teachers, no school for students. So that's mirroring what we did in the first semester.
And the teachers and the principals and feedback from parents where they like the dedicated time after 5 o'clock to be able to meet with parents. The teachers and the principals also wanted to add that to the spring because they thought that was a useful activity in the fall and wanted to do it twice a year.
And we've heard very positive comments and feedback from parents saying that that's working better for them as well. Keeping that train of thought then, in 2026-27, we're going to do the same thing. In October, the last day of the quarter, we're going to do a full day of school, parent-teacher conferences in the evening, and then a half day for employees the next day, no school for students. And then again in the spring, March 11th, will be a full day, parent-teacher conferences in the evening, a half day the next day, that Friday, for employees. To make that work, we moved the professional development day from March 15th, where it originally was, as a full day, to March 12th. So those are the two calendars you guys have already approved. In February, we're going to ask you to consider approving this again. So that's those two calendars, and it all revolves around making those changes around the parent-teacher conferences so that we can get our parents in the schools and talk to them about what's happening in the schools and what's happening in the classrooms. We've created two draft calendars for 27-28. Both of them are very similar. They both start about the same time. They end about the same time. They're both going to end before Memorial Day, which is always a positive. The first one, first I need to tell you that we are required by law to close on Election Day in even years when it's a general election. We are not required by law to close on odd years. So in November of 2027, we are proposing that we not close on Election Day, and that's going to give us 1 day, and then this is also a leap year, so that's going to give us a second extra day. Doing that, getting those 2 extra days, in this calendar, we're adding it to the Thanksgiving holiday, which gives us a full week at Thanksgiving. And the other calendar, version 2, gives us, we're using that day as one day here right before December and starting one day late in July. Both calendars meet the 180 days for students. Both calendars have the 10 days for employees. Everything else is pretty much the same. We have put it out for employees for their feedback. Right now, we're still gathering feedback, but I will tell you that we've had over 400 responses so far. Overwhelmingly, by over 80%, the number one calendar, version 1, which is this calendar, is the most popular so far. The feedback is very, very, very positive about it. People are very excited about the idea of possibly having an entire week for Thanksgiving. We do need to communicate, if the board ultimately chooses this calendar, that we can't guarantee that every year will be a full week. It just kind of happened this year because of Election Day and leap year. But we are continuing to get feedback. Any kind of suggestions or criticisms, we're also going to be sharing with you guys and the superintendent as well. So we'll be bringing this to you, but I wanted to go ahead and start discussing this just briefly. Are there any questions about this?
And if you have questions between now and February board meeting, happy to discuss them. But wanted to make sure that y'all knew this was the current thinking version, so that you saw it before and had time to digest and think about. And if we have any questions, happy to.
I mean, I would love the week off at Thanksgiving. I just think we need to be very careful in our messaging that it could be one-time good deal.
Could be one time. The stars aligned for that calendar, right? So, okay.
While we're doing calendars,
Oops.
just because it is a hot topic right now and it fits, is e-learning and makeup days. So that, just so the board is aware, what state law requires is that in these calendars, we designate 3 inclement weather makeup days in our calendar. And the option is those could be e-learning or they don't have to be. And so in this year's current calendar, we canceled on Monday, and so we have to make that day up. And just so y'all know, the thinking around the why and the what is, we talked to the meteorologist 3 times, or the emergency management people 3 times on Sunday. They were 80-20 sure that we were going to have good weather on Monday and it was going to be fine. I had made the decision that we were going to do a 2-hour delay and go about our business. Audrey sent out to employees, I texted you that was the plan. And then Ed Piotrowski said it's shifted and there was going to be more sleet in the night and we weren't sure. And so we called back and she said, well, I won't know for 3 more hours if that's accurate or not. I feel like the numbers are probably not 80-20, they're probably 60-40, 75-25. And I had flashbacks of driving to school and being sent home in the snow as a teacher. And I said, I didn't feel good about it in my gut, y'all. So I pulled the trigger and said, Audrey, I know I just said that, but can we communicate that tomorrow will be a closure day? The sun was shining. It was a beautiful day on Monday, so we could have come to school, but you never know. And to err on the side of safety, that sleet that came in, the power that went off throughout the county, I think it was the right decision. But we also could not have asked teachers to come up with work to give on that Monday, expect teachers and students, if they had power outages, to play school on a day that they hadn't planned for. So the idea now is that on our first inclement weather day, which is February 16th, our winter break, that's designated on our calendar as our inclement weather day, we will have an e-learning day. That gives teachers 2 weeks to plan for that, or it gives them a week to plan for it. It gives our principals and curriculum staff a week to look at and review those lessons and make sure that they are high quality lessons to be given during e-learning. The expectation that we've set is that the lessons on that Monday have to include new instruction. They have to be teaching something new,
and they have to have an assignment tied to the new instruction. They can't just say, make up all the work you hadn't turned in. They can't just give you a bunch of busy worksheets. It has to be similar as much as possible to a school day. And that is what we're going to try on that Monday. And teachers will spend their time developing those lessons to make up the time that they missed on Monday. And they'll also be available for office hours on that Monday. And what we've communicated to parents is that children have until the Monday end of the day when they return to complete those assignments and turn them in, so that it's not, you've got 2 extra weeks and you're just going to make it up. There's a deadline by which that has to be completed, and we mark them present. The truth of the matter, and I just have to say it to y'all because they're going to crucify me, and I know that, but if we have multiple days where we are out and we are expecting snow this weekend, it's going to be very difficult for us to say we can do e-learning successfully for 2 or 3 days. It might be possible for 2, but I will tell you, in talking to principals yesterday, they were split, and many of them wanted to just come back to school on that Monday. Half of them didn't, but it was, they would prefer to come in person than do all this work to make e-learning be successful and rigorous. But what I also know is that families have made commitments for vacations and rental houses, and they have trips, so do teachers. And so I think that one day we can make it successful. I am praying that if the snow comes, it comes Friday night, kids enjoy it on Saturday, the sun comes out, it melts on Sunday, and we are in classrooms on Monday. But that's kind of the thinking around the e-learning piece, because we couldn't have done school on Monday and it be meaningful. We're trying our best to make it meaningful for the makeup day, but I just have to say to y'all, we've got to start changing some of the expectations of, if it's an inclement weather day, that's not the day to plan your Bahamas cruise. It's not the week to plan an expensive beach rental. We can't predict the weather. We are required by law to have inclement weather days in our calendar, and those days need to be, at least that there's the option that we're going to be in person on those days.
So if we were to be out Monday, just hypothetical, which I don't think we would that be an e-learning day?
We'd have to cancel. And
we'd have to cancel it and then have an e-learning day later?
Potentially, but probably if it gets beyond one day, we're going to have to come back and make that up in person.
Yeah, but just one day.
Because we're already doing one, and so that's going to be asking teachers to make up 2, and they've got to create that lesson, make it meaningful, times 2 by the second week in February. So it's getting, like if that day had happened, a month ago and there was more time to plan, that also makes that easier, but it's going to be really difficult for teachers to make up 16 hours of work in a week, because they've got to make up the 8 hours from Monday, create that lesson, and then they're going to have to, if they have to do it again, that's really close to the time. And I don't know about teachers. Some of them are split. Principals were, if we have 2, they'd rather be in person. And talking to kids, because I've been doing student advisory, none of them want to come. Nobody wants to come to school. But at the same time, when you ask them, do you really learn anything on an e-learning day? Do you think that the lesson that you get is meaningful? They'll smile and say, no, not really, but I still don't want to come. But that's kids, right? Kids are not going to want rules sometimes, but that doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. Expectations can be good even when kids don't want them.
If there's an inclement weather day, do you have to have the makeup within a certain time frame?
It is best that you do it in the semester in which it occurs, and law requires that they be designated on the calendar, and so that is when this board approved the calendar and put our inclement weather days the first 3 days of our winter break in February.
So with that in mind, we looked at possible inclement weather days for 26 27, 28. And we're talking about potentially putting it on one of those new freebie days in Thanksgiving, and then 2 more in February.
So you'd have 1 in first semester and you'd have 2 in second.
Right.
And that way you spread it out.
Yeah.
Because we used to not have to have one in the beginning, but now with hurricane stuff, we.
And floods,
But see, you
hurricanes.
generally don't have
Yeah.
first semester.
Okay.
No, you just.
Well, Dr. Ferguson, I just want to say, I appreciate the focus on if we have to do the e-learning day, that we're getting what we can out of the high-quality instruction. I think it has become too easy to pull the trigger on saying, oh, let's just do an e-learning day, and nothing really is learned.
And I love my friends who are superintendents across the state, but I think it is disingenuous to say that your county does not have power, and yet let's do school on the internet, and teachers are going to have to be available through Zoom, and the kids are going to have to do it that day. I don't know how the power works in their county, but it's not how it works in reality.
Any other questions on the calendar? We'll come back and talk to you more in February.
Thank you.
All right, Hall of Fame. So we're very, very excited about Hall of Fame. As we go forward and talk about this, please, if you have to ask a question about an individual, if you would refer to them as candidate 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, and not the names, because we haven't reached out. Nobody knows they've been nominated yet. So, but we had multiple nominations. This year we divided the nominations into 2 groups. We divided them into alumni of our school district, and then we also divided it into former employees. And we had 2 sets of judges. One set judged each group. We had between 6 and 8 candidates within each group. Now, if somebody wasn't selected this year, they stay on for another 2 years. So they have an opportunity next year or even the year after that. We had 1, 2, 3.
So having said that, does that mean that person would have to be resubmitted?
No. No.
They're still on rotation.
They just stay on for 2 years.
So some of the people on this list may have been.
Yes.
Come from
Yes.
another.
They could have been nominated a previous time.
Okay.
In fact, I believe one of them was nominated last year. We had 7 judges that included former Hall of Fame individuals. We had a parent, we had a business leader, we had, a parent, a business leader, and 2 former employees who have retired, and then, as I said, also our Hall of Fame attendees, Hall of Fame honorees. And so we are, based on their scores, presenting 3 candidates, 3 people that we're recommending that we recognize at the Hall of Fame in each group. So we have 3 as former employees and 3 as alumni. So we'll be having a class of 6 this year. I've given you a brief bio of each one of those so that you have a chance to see who they are. If you want more, I will tell you it was difficult to condense their amazing accomplishments into a paragraph of 150 words or so. But I'm more than happy to share more information about each one of these. I think all 6 of these individuals do our district and our community very, very proud. So the plan is that unless you have an objection to any of those 6, we'll reach out and notify them, and then start moving forward with communicating to the public who these individuals are, making the formal announcement, and then we'll have a Hall of Fame event. The plan for this year's event is to have a small private reception ahead of time with our board, our honorees, and their family, and then move into a public ceremony where anybody that would like to come to celebrate with us is welcome to do so. We have 2 dates that we'd like you guys to consider for this event. Right off the top of our heads, we were able to very quickly get February 26th or March 5th. And I wanted to get your feedback on either one of those. That's February 26th or March 5th.
March 5th.
Yes. I will tell you that if that doesn't work, there are other events, other dates available. We're going to shift into April because March is jam-packed.
Seems good to me. But whatever.
Good for March 5th.
March 5th, okay.
Either day is fine.
Okay.
Either
March
one's fine.
March 5th. Do you have a preference?
I have a trip that's coming up and I'll be gone both dates.
Okay. Okay. So everybody.
What'd you say, Warren?
I said February 26th, but March 5th is fine. That's my birthday.
Whoa.
You want us to sing happy birthday to you?
Yeah, I'm saying happy birthday.
I'll have a cake. We'll have a cake for you. All right, let me explore and we'll talk about that.
We also want to see when our attendees.
Yes, that's what I mean. I'll have to check with our attendees and see what they can do as well. Okay. Is there any objection to these individuals? Okay.
Excited.
All right.
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that wraps up the superintendent's reports and activities in Ms. Hassler.
Do we have any need for an executive session?
No, no.
If we have no need for an executive session, there's nothing else that anybody
Can I
else-
give one more update?
Yes, you
That
can.
probably is related to that, but it doesn't have to be an executive session because it's now done and complete. We signed the deed for the Rosenwald Care South today. It is not yet, I don't think, recorded, but it is signed and sealed and delivered. And
Right.
so that is a project we can check off and say we have transitioned that property to Care South and look forward to its future, and we'll be working to do a press release on that too. But that was signed and done today.
Excellent.
Good news.
I know. Anybody else have anything else?
I'll move for adjournment.
I'll take a motion to adjourn with Mr.
So
Govan.
moved.
I'll take a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We're adjourned.